Sign up to Bityard today, deposit $100 to qualify for the wallet token airdrop. Also take part in the USDT perpetual testing period for a chance to win a brand new iPhone 13. Take a look on my Telegram for further details. Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a quick look and a recap of what's going on. So we're having a bit of a dead cat bounce at the moment, which is fine. It's nice to see that the short signal has played out as we wanted it to. And so we've been saying, especially for those on the Patreon, because you know it's been a bit of a boring time, but for the most part I've been saying just stay away from alts, alright? Stay away from alts. And I'm expecting my buy order of 31,500 to get hit. So you can only assume that altcoins are going to get hit really, really hard with that. So I've tried to emphasize that for what feels like maybe a couple of months, but certainly for many weeks now, and so that has played, right? So the short signal on the daily has played. This isn't a continuation of a trend signal that you get on the Itchy Cloud. This was a short signal suggesting a big move take place to a support, and I would argue that we've got that. So we hit between the 20. It was front run, wasn't it, from the summer lows? If we think about what we saw here, there's your summer lows, your double bottom around 28, 29, and we front run that already about just breaking below 30. So that would be that short signal played out, in my opinion. The problem is we've also got a short signal on the weekly now. and so with that in mind, we have to think about weekly supports. And again, we waited 2 weeks, which is a pretty standard period of time for the short signal on that daily to play out, and we got it within a 2-week period, which is pretty textbook stuff. But now we've got one on the weekly. We need to be thinking a lot more long term, right? So if we can't reclaim some of these major areas, get back in and above the cloud, for instance, which again still wouldn't cancel out the trade, but it would help alleviate some of that short pressure. Then we have to think about these lows now, which is your 200 exponential at about 25 and your 200 simple, which is about 22. That's where they are today. They are slowly moving up week by week, bit by bit, but very slow and steady, because they are, you know, the definition of a lagging indicator. Really, they're not indicators; they're moving averages, right? So they can be used as support, and I would expect them to be support. So we're talking about this area on the next big breakdown, and for me, do you know where it's going to be? Obviously, front running that area, I'm going to go in at around 27. That's where I'll be going in at. You might think that's an exceptionally high, but it's not really, because if you think about where I sold around 54, that's like a 50% discount from my sell order there. And again, for the record, I didn't sell all my Bitcoin. I'd be mad to do that. Most of my Bitcoin was bought down here in the first place, and the rest of it was traded with the alt season. So you know, the idea for me is to always try and keep a large portion of Bitcoin as a trading pair. And that goes hand in hand with the problem with the UST yesterday. Jeez, I don't know if you know, but I'm sure you probably do. A stable coin is not stable anymore. It unpegged and got wrecked, which makes you think, you know, what is the point of certain stable coins? Now, I obviously use Tether. I have no choice when I'm dealing with shit coins on KuCoin. There is no alternative. But my preference is always to trade with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is my trading pair, which is why I focus on buying more on the way down, and generally are quite realistic about where it is that I sell. I only really sell if there's something specifically extremely dangerous, like this Omicron situation was pretty dangerous. I got rid of at least 90% of my stocks around there, and about a third of my Bitcoin, which is a really big sell for me. You know, without telling you how much that was, it's quite a big sell. It's the largest amount of Bitcoin in any kind of monetary value that I've ever sold, which is around there. And I didn't want to do it. It's just that I had no choice, because I saw where this was going. It reminded me very much of the March dump, and it kind of played out like a baby brother. Now, incrementally buying back is obviously the way we're going here, and that's the plan. And the plan after that would be to use all of this Bitcoin that I've managed to accumulate on the downtrend as a trading pair. So yeah, we saw the extra dump take place yesterday because that UST, the Lunar stablecoin. This, in many ways, is a precursor of potentially what could happen to Tether. And you know, I'm not one of these sort of Tether FUD people, but it is worth considering if you are going to sell and stay in any kind of cash position for a prolonged period of time. I've said it quite a few times on the Patreon live streams. If I were to do it, I would sell to the Great British Pound. That's where I sold all mine at in December, and it's been sitting in pounds. For the most part, pounds. There is some tether involved in all of this, but that's usually on my KuCoin where I have no alternative to sell these shit coins to tether. And look, there is a lot of tether FUD out there. It's tether this, tether that. At the end of the day, it's got the liquidity, which generally gives it, you know, its stability. But there's, you know, there is really, you know, no reason why it couldn't end up doing what happened to UST yesterday. That could happen. There's no reason why that wouldn't happen, and it could happen for a variety of reasons. So, yeah, I always prefer, where possible, which again with my trading style, which is mostly trading with Bitcoin to altcoins and altcoins to Bitcoin, if I ever do want to take some decent chips off the table in the form of stablecoin or fiat, it would be a fiat, and it would be the Great British Pound, obviously, because I'm British. So putting that out there again, just putting it out there. I'm not saying that will happen to Tether, but there is a small risk that one day could happen. But you know, let's not get stressed out about it. But if you ever do intend to stay into a large cash position for a prolonged period of time, then you have to think to yourself, what is the point of having tons of Tether when I can have a very strong, sturdy dollar, euro, or pound, which is obviously losing its value as we speak every second of the day. You're stuck between a rock and a hard place. These are 21st century problems, by the way. You know, which currency should I store my newfound wealth in? It's silly stuff, really. But yeah, there is always that risk, and that FUD that took place yesterday. Well, that added insult to injury. Talking about kicking a man when they're down, so that did not help the market. But it also, in my opinion, has probably caused unnecessary shock to the market. So we are looking. I strongly think we're looking at a bit of a bounce today. So there is that on Bitcoin. There is the Terra Luna FUD because of the stablecoin breakdown, which is obviously not stable anymore. And there's also this, which could offer a bounce. This is your Nasdaq, and this is your Nasdaq on the weekly. Okay, so this was our resistance, flipped to support, all the way up to find its top. Been consolidating ever since, just like our friend Bitcoin and everything else, coming down to this level now. So this level is likely to see a bit of a bounce, right? A bounce, remember bounce, right? And if we think about bounce, we can think about this in terms of, all right, we got a rough, sturdy, a very rough, not sturdy trend line here, forming what could be considered a descending triangle, right? Which again is still a bearish formation. We have to entertain the idea of lows, and this could be what we're looking to see for Nasdaq. You know, up and then down, and then probably break down, right? That's probably what we're looking to see. So if that is the case, I think over the next week or so, traditional markets are going to have a little bit of upside. You know, that's just short of a 10% move on the Nasdaq over a period of the year maybe, or we continue to go straight down to our next major levels. There are two major levels below us. This one here, about 11,000, which is, to be honest, if we get down this to this low, I think a further breakdown would be required, and this one would be the absolute epic one, which I would certainly be going hard and heavy in onto the Nasdaq for a long-term position. Pre-pandemic levels over here, coming in at 95,000, right? That 95,000, 9,500, sorry. So that's where I would go hard and heavy on this one, and I would looking for this to be a long-term position, because guess what? It's not only Bitcoin that's up only, the Nasdaq is up only as well. So if you want to take part in a market that goes up only, this is one of them. Imagine saying, you know, the Nasdaq's over, man, it's finished, it's dead. It's ruined, you're wrecked. Well, I mean, it all depends on your entry point being determined by time, and this is what I always say about Bitcoin. Look, the time is a great healer. When it comes to Bitcoin, it's an up-only chart. Well, there's a lot of charts out there that are up-only. Nasdaq is one by its very conception. It has to be up-only. You take a very, very, very nasty downturn in the overall economy for a prolonged period of time for this to be down-only. It's very likely to be up only forever, okay? So it's not only me that recognises that, it's most people. And by recognising that, you look at entry points, appropriate entry points on the way down, and this would be where I would go hard and heavy. Not just for Nasdaq, but I'll be picking up all kinds of tech stocks for my pension and for my trading account, which at the moment, my trading account is 90% in cash for stocks. Not so much for crypto, but it is for stocks. I really, that whole rise of Omicron really made me, fear for the overall market, and then it was difficult to find any kind of entry points really thereafter for anything, because the virus was just a precursor to what ended up being, extreme views on monetary policy because of inflation. So, the Omicron, in a way, back then when that happened, was a bit of a blessing in a way, because it gave us the warning signs that the charts were still messing around with, and we did get out at an appropriate position for both stocks and largely for Bitcoin. But it's all about getting back in now. There's only so far this is all going to go, and when you think about an up-only chart, you don't want to be beating around the bush too much. So I'm very pleased that this buy order was filled, but now I'll be the next mouth-watering low has been 25 and potentially 22. I want to get in. I don't want to miss out. So it'll be 27. Definitely. And if we do go lower and we do have a massive breakdown for whatever reason, I'll consider buying manually once I've assessed the damage and for whatever reason it came down to those levels. And to be honest with you, that would most likely mark the absolute low. And I'll be looking less at Bitcoin and more at some of these super wrecked altcoins that should obviously be absolutely demolished at that point. And I'd probably be thinking, okay, let me just scoop up some of these alts, which will be horrendously low for what I'll consider to be a long-term position in them. So yeah, there we go. So we got your Terra Luna FUD, you've got your Nasdaq looking for a bounce, you've got your buy order sort of tagged here, and we're looking for effectively dead cat bounce kind of area around now, and probably upside for the rest of the week. But we'll have to wait for traditional markets to open in America later on today to really see the effects of that. For the moment, we've got short signal on the weekly. That's unfortunate. So we still have pressure down as far as the chart is concerned. It still wants to go down, but for this very moment in time, as of right now and today, and maybe for the rest of the week, I would expect some upside at this point now. And last night I've put it on my Telegram. There's been a few long positions that I've been going into here and there. It was a very good day for futures trading. I was lucky enough to be able to have the time to be able to take part in that. Made some serious cash just by doing that. And it's on days like yesterday where that sort of thing can really happen. You can sit around for a whole month and wait for a trade, and then suddenly in the space of one day you make more money trading futures than you've done in months, really, because that is the day. It's like catching a fish, isn't it? You throw your hook into the water, sit there, eat your sandwiches, listen to the radio, nothing bites, and then suddenly you're catching one fish after another. It's just the way it is. That's trading for you. So it was an epic day yesterday for not just futures, but obviously my buy order. And now what we're looking for is a bit of upside. Waiting for traditional markets in America, see how this Nasdaq performs on this. But over time, I am actually looking for this to break down. With people talking about recession, as we all know, recession needs 2 quarters of continuous reduction in GDP for them to call it a recession. But you and I already know the recession has been here since at least January, if not earlier. We all know that, but they can only really give it a label after next month, which they probably will, and that'll probably cause another shock in the market. But by that point, I reckon the recession is likely going to be mostly finished when it comes to stocks and probably crypto, but the repercussions in the broader spectrum of things will probably be going on. But for us as traders, that usually would look at marking the low. You'd have one final shock in the market, hopefully bring us down to this major entry point where we can get stuck in, absolutely stuck in. Right, so there is a plan there. There is an absolute plan, but let's face it, it's not going to happen overnight. And anyway, I hope you have a nice day anyway, guys. Feel free to join the Telegram. It's all free. All the links you could ever need for anything in the description below. And I hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.